I wanted to make a nice video explaining how to de-Ubuntuize Ubuntu, meaning how to remove snap and use deb packages and eventually GNOME software and Flatpak. I thought it would be really interesting to many people. Well, it didn't go as planned at all. Despite being a very balanced person, the experience I lived trying to remove snap from Ubuntu is completely scandalous. This is no longer Linux. Maybe some of you already knew about this situation, but since I work with many distributions and use Debian as my main system, I had never gotten to this point until today. So if the title seems extremist to you, well, it's not. Ubuntu is a cancer. And if you use Ubuntu and don't care at all about these Linux user issues, well, know that you're not very smart to continue using this distribution. Look with your own eyes, listen with your own ears. KDE Live takes 25 seconds to start up. Want to see how long it takes to start on the same machine on my old, troglodyte, extremist, and outdated Debian 13? My friend, immediately. And this is not acceptable from a technical and performance point of view. So if you're an Ubuntu user who doesn't give a damn about philosophy and open source, then why don't you try something else? Install Fedora, install Zorin. God, I never thought I'd recommend Zorin to someone, but if you really have to leave Ubuntu, do it. Let me explain the reasons for this situation. The reasons are simple. I started making this guide for Ubuntu and, well, I'm not the perfect hacker. I messed up my system and had to reinstall. It seems that Snap Core brings with it the entire desktop environment and even some fundamental utilities. I said to myself, no problem, I'll reinstall and make a guide on how to remove Snap and Snap Store, avoiding removing the fundamental components that would ruin my system. So I create my file, remove the delicate parts, and go ahead, uninstall Firefox and company. As you can see, there are few files. It's a fresh installation. So I add the Firefox PPA from terminal to use the deb package, and here comes the beauty. For God and for all the penguins existing on Earth, the system tells me that Firefox is installed, Snap Firefox, but Firefox is not installed. I reboot and try again, same error. I try to force apt, same error. Well, I said to myself, now I'm going to remove this shit from my computer, and I need a browser anyway, even to search for information on the internet. I try to install Chromium. Well, Chromium wasn't installed and wasn't removed with Snap. It should work. I add the PPA, proceed, sudo apt install Chromium, and damn, Ubuntu installs the Snap version. Ubuntu installs the Snap version. But it doesn't end there. I try with other packages, VLC, Snap, LibreOffice. Guess what? Snap. It's like Ubuntu decided that you, poor user, don't have the right to choose how to install your programs. It's a digital dictatorship. And you know what's the most frustrating thing? That these Snap packages are slow. Incredibly slow. Every time you open a Snap application, it seems like it's decompressing the entire universe. On my system, a simple Snap text editor takes longer to open than LibreOffice native on Debian. It's absurd. But you know what the cherry on top is? I tried to check how much space these blessed snaps occupy on the disk. Guys, get ready. Firefox Snap takes up more than 200 megabytes. 200 megabytes for a browser. The deb version of Firefox takes about 60 megabytes. We're talking about a 300% space waste. And this for every single Snap application installed. I'm sure there's a way, I hope there is, and I'm sure someone has made a how-to on YouTube so I could manage to use Ubuntu peacefully. But I'm sorry, this is enough for me. This is no longer Linux. I honestly am a normal user. I'm not an engineer or a developer, and I judge based on my poor experience. This system is a cancer. A normal user would never be able to uninstall it, and if they tried, they would find themselves on the ground without a system. This is not acceptable. It goes well beyond the fact that Snap is a system managed by Ubuntu. This creeps into Linux, and Linux can't get rid of it. I don't know if this is in line with the GPL license, but it's not at all in line, not even sideways, with the most basic principles of the Linux world and open source. But let's also talk about the technical problems that nobody tells you about. Snap packages create loop devices that occupy memory and system resources. Every time you install a Snap application, the system creates a new mounted loop device. On a system with many Snap applications, you can get to have 20 to 30 loop devices active simultaneously. This not only consumes RAM, but also slows down the system's I/O operations. And then there's the update problem. With traditional deb packages, You choose when to update. With Snap, Ubuntu decides for you. Updates are automatic and forced. You can't disable them completely. It's like someone entering your house and moving furniture without asking your permission. Moreover, each Snap application runs in a separate sandbox environment, which in theory should be more secure, but in practice creates integration problems with the system. Snap applications often can't access files in your home directory, don't integrate well with system themes, and create inconsistencies in the user interface. And let's not talk about dependencies. With deb packages, shared libraries are used by multiple applications, saving space and memory. With Snap, each application brings with it all its dependencies, creating absurd duplications. You can have the same library installed 10 times for 10 different applications. We must have freedom of choice, and we must have the right to want to modify our systems. And this Snap behavior is absurd. It's against everything Linux was born and grew for in these decades. Ubuntu has betrayed the Linux community. It has betrayed the principles of open source. It has betrayed the freedom of choice that should be the foundation of every new Linux distribution worthy of this name. But you know what makes me most angry? That Ubuntu uses its dominant position to force Snap on users. It's like Microsoft in the 90s integrating Internet Explorer into Windows to destroy the competition. Ubuntu is doing the exact same thing with Snap. And then there are the privacy implications. All Snap packages are downloaded from Canonical's Snap Store. This means that Canonical knows exactly what software you install, when you install it, and where you install it from. With traditional Debian repositories, this information is not tracked centrally. But what hurts me most is seeing how Ubuntu is corrupting the next generation of Linux users. New users who start with Ubuntu think that Snap is Linux. They don't even know that better alternatives exist, faster ones, more respectful of their freedom. Fortunately, there are still distributions that respect the fundamental principles of free software. Linux Mint, which is also based on Ubuntu, has removed Snap by default. System 76's Pop! OS has done the same. Debian obviously remains pure. Fedora offers a modern experience without compromising on freedom. OpenSUSE with its YAST is incredibly powerful and user-friendly. So my advice? If you're using Ubuntu, wake up. There are much better alternatives. Debian, Fedora, OpenSUSE, Manjaro, Pop! OS, Linux Mint, all distributions that still respect the fundamental principles of free software. Don't be fooled by Ubuntu's apparent ease. Under that user-friendly surface hides a system that takes away your freedom of choice. And this, guys, is not Linux. A normal user shouldn't have to fight against their own operating system just to install the software they want. This is not acceptable. It goes against everything the open source world stands for, and frankly, it's a betrayal of user trust.